What is up guys, SubtreX here and welcome back to my channel. So this video is primarily aimed at all those people who are preparing for their GRE, will be taking their GRE in the near future. This video is divided into two parts. The first part will be containing the resources I used. I will be sharing all the resources, the courses that I did for my GRE preparation. And the second part is basically a diagnosis of my GRE score. So let's dive right into it. So my GRE scores are on the screen right now. Yes, I scored a 164 on quant, a 156 on verbal, and a 4 on AWA. So the quant score, I expected a bit better. I expected above 165, 166, but it's fine. I'll take whatever I can get. Okay, so for the first part, the resources that I used for my GRE. So the first resource that I used was the Magoosh course. So I bought the Magoosh course for the 6 months course for around $120. I used the coupon code and I got it for $120, and I used the Magoosh course. So the Magoosh course is not a necessity in preparing for GRE, but if you have the means to buy it, then I would say buy it because it's good. Like, the questions are organized and the answers are really well written, the explanations are really good. I guess you can find the video lectures, the video lessons that are included in the Magoosh course anywhere. They are available on torrent, or there are many Google Drive links where people upload them. So if you want to see the videos, just the videos, then you can use the free resources. But if you want to practice the questions like within timed questions, and then see your result on the dashboard, then I would say you can buy the Magoosh course. There's also a 1 month course which comes around for, I guess, $100 or $80, something like that. But yeah, the Magoosh course is, if you can buy it, then buy it. Otherwise, not a big deal. There will be other resources which I'll cover, which will be enough. So though I bought the Magoosh for 6 months, I effectively did it for like 2 months. So I guess I just wasted 4 months of my money. Okay, so the second resource I'm going to talk about is the ETS official guide. So there are two guides, that is the ETS official quant guide and the ETS official verbal guide. So both are extremely handy and extremely important. You should and must complete them because they actually give you a sense of what real GRE questions look like, what ETS actually gives, and they're good. The quant, it contains basic formulas and explanations, and then certain practice sets, mixed practice sets, and all that stuff. So yeah, quant is very basic. And verbal, it also has like how can you approach the verbal questions, what type of verbal questions will you get, like definitions of what text completions are, what sentence equivalences are, what kind of RC questions you will get, and also how to write your AWA, certain sample answers. And there are around, I guess, 4 mixed practice sets. So those practice sets are very important, so complete them. So I did not buy the books, I downloaded them online, the PDFs. I'm sure you will get them somewhere. So ETS official guides, the 2 guides, it's very important. It's a very important resource. Okay, so the third resource is Manhattan 5 pounds. So Manhattan 5 pounds, same as ETS official guides, I downloaded, I don't remember which edition actually, around 1,000-page PDF, something like that. So practice that, and mainly practice that for the quants. I would suggest you skip the verbal part, because the verbal part is in the Manhattan is it's, I don't know, it's very weird. I mean, I started it, but I then didn't feel like completing it, so I left it. And I would suggest you leave it. They're very obnoxious words and stuff. I did not get it. But I completed the quants part. Quants questions are pretty good. They're actually a bit higher level than GRE. The quants questions are pretty good. Like, I practiced a lot of probability questions and geometry questions from them. So yeah, and at the end of the PDF there's a section called advanced questions. So those advanced questions, I would say you can skip them, but if you're aiming for a very high score like a 168, 169, 170 score, then you can complete them. It just complements your quant capabilities. So yeah, Manhattan, very important for quants specifically. Okay, so the fourth resource is basically a list of resources, and the resources that I used for my verbal vocab enhancement, that resources that I used for picking up words. So as you know, unless and until you have like a decent vocabulary, a vocabulary list, a vocabulary set, you won't be able to touch the GRE questions, the GRE verbal questions, the text completions, the sentence equivalence, and also the RCs. So these are the resources I used for my vocab. So the first resource is actually called GRE Vocabulary Flashcards app. I'm sure you have heard it by now. So it's a flashcard app by Magoosh. So the words are like, compartmentalized, like very basic, like basic 1 2 3, then common 1 2 3, then advanced 1 2 3. So I completed all the sections that are there. There are around 21 sections and 50 words in each. So around 1050 words, something like that, 1000 words roughly. So yeah, complete that app. That app will mostly provide you with all the GRE words that are there, the most used GRE words and the most advanced GRE words that are there. So complete the app to the fullest, and that app should give you a starting ground on building your vocabulary. Okay, so the second resource is the Barron's Essential Words for the GRE. It's also the PDF I downloaded from the net, and there are actually two lists over there. One is the 333 most frequent word list, and the second is, I guess, a 1500 word list. That 1500 word list is actually there are 500 word roots given, and 300 word roots given, and 5 examples for each word. So that basically is 1500 word roots. So I would suggest you do the 333 most frequent GRE word list. That's very important. And if you have time, just go through the 1500 word list. Just go through it. You don't need to memorize all the root words. I mean, if you can, that might be helpful, but no need to. I just went through it once, just to see through, and that was it. But yeah, the word roots actually help. Like for example, I remember ACU, ACU. ACU is a word which relates to sharpness. So all the words that start with ACU, that relates to sharpness, like acumen, acuminate. So yeah, the word roots surely help. So yeah, Barron's Essential Words for GRE, that's a very important resource for vocab building. Okay, so the third resource that I used was Kaplan's 900 word list. So Kaplan's 900 word list was just an external resource I used just to see how many words I will be getting uncommon after doing the flashcard app and the Barron's one. So yeah, I would say the Kaplan's 900 word list is not required, but if you have time, complete it. So okay, for increasing my vocab, for enhancing my vocab, I actually employed a certain strategy. So I maintained a word book and also maintained a word pinup board. So I actually made a video, just my last video, it was a day in my life of a Indian GRE student. So I'll be cutting and pasting a part from that video. Just take a look. Okay, so this is my word board. Basically, it's a pinup board where I just pin up words that are really hard to remember, really hard to recall, so that it's always in front of me. Every time I wake up, I see it, and somehow subconsciously just gets entrenched in my mind. And I also maintain this. This is basically like a word book. Like every new word I come across during my time of GRE prep, the word lists that I have done, I write it down here, and the words that are really hard to remember, they are all on here. So this is basically my strategy for remembering new words. So yeah, that was my vocab strategy, words strategy to pick up new words. So yeah. Okay, moving on to the last resource is YouTube channels. So the two YouTube channels I followed was GregMat and Tested Tutor. Most specifically GregMat. I watched a lot of GregMat videos, and I would suggest you start doing so too. I don't know if you are into 2 months of your prep or 30 days into your prep, but start watching GregMat videos. GregMat videos are just awesome. In one word, awesome. GregMat techniques are really good. For example, for the verbal part, I'm not going over the quants part, it's pretty easy. For the verbal part, for the sentence equivalences, he attempts the sentence equivalences because he feels those are the best, and I feel that 2 sentence equivalences are the easiest parts in verbal. So what he does is, he doesn't go over the question first. He goes straight to the options. There are 6 options for sentence equivalence. He goes straight to the options, and he tries to find out pairs. So you will always find this pattern that there are 2 pairs and there is 1 non-pair. So just first out of the lot, you have a 50-50 chance of getting your answer correct because you have already found out 2 pairs. And then he goes over to the question. He reads the question. He understands the tone of the question, what he's trying to say, if there are any shift words or non-shift words, if there are any colons, semicolons, etc., and then he closes in on the right answer, the right pair of words. So I found that technique very interesting and I employed it myself. Okay, for this text completions, he has a completely different approach. He first of all goes to the questions, doesn't just see the options at first. He goes to the question, he reads the question, and then he tries to fit in his own words, like what he understood by a cursory reading of the question, and he tries to fit in his own words. And then after fitting in his own words, he comes to the options and tries to eliminate and select the option which fits the best in the blank. So yeah, really handy. This fitting your own words is a very used technique in GRE text completions, and I suggest you try to do that too, because it really helps. And now for RCs, we'll all agree on this that those are the toughest part in GRE verbal. And Greg Matt, he has this way of taking down notes. Yes, while he goes through the RCs, he skims through the RC passage and he takes down little notes like what is the author's main point of view, what does paragraph 1 surmises, what does paragraph 2 tells you, if there are any person involved, if a person is being contradicted, or if something is being supported, corroborated, and just like small notes, small points in order to give you a whole brief of the whole paragraphs and the whole passage. So that note taking, actually I started doing it a bit late, but I kind of employed it in my real GRE exam too, that note taking strategy, and it actually helped. Because when you take notes, like you read a question and you don't have to just straight up jump into the paragraph again, because you don't have that much time. So those notes will help you then, those little notes that you have taken will help you then, and maybe help you construct your answer, and then you go on to the options. So yeah, I suggest you watch Greg Matt videos, because they are really good, really helpful. It helped me a lot. Okay, now let's talk about the free tests. So there are a list of free tests. I wrote them down. So the first one is Magoosh offers 2 free tests. So if you're buying Magoosh, you will get 2 free tests. If you're not buying Magoosh, so leave them out. The second is Manhattan. The Manhattan site offers 1 GRE free test, full length test. Then comes Princeton Review. Princeton Review offers 1 full test. Then comes Crunch Prep. Crunch Prep offers 1 free test. Kaplan offers 1 free test. McGraw-Hill, it offers 1 free test. And then there are the ETS, the 2 official ETS tests, that is the PowerPrep 1 and the PowerPrep 2. So I will be linking all the tests down below in the description. If you want, you can check them out. And I guess they will be useful, because you need to give full length tests to understand the essence of the real GRE test. So yeah, I will be sharing my scores from the free tests, the mock tests that I gave. So my scores were this. So as you can see, the Magoosh one, I scored a 325, and I was very happy. Like, I got a 325. I was like running all around the house, like, yeah, my first mock 325, woo. But then the score decreased to a 323. Then I gave Manhattan, I scored a 317. So okay, fine. Then I scored Crunch Prep 324, and all these tests were similar. I can't comment like they were comparatively easier or harder to the real GRE, but they were, I guess, in the ballpark, like comparable. Fine. So then I gave Crunch Prep 324, Kaplan 324. So this was all okay scores. I was hoping to get something like that. Now then came the doom. The ETS 1, the PowerPrep 1 test. I gave it and I scored a 319. I mean, okay, fine, 319 is okay. I guess I'll get a 2-3 marks increase. Then just the day before the GRE, I gave my PowerPrep 2. I was full of confidence and I sat for my PowerPrep 2. And I got a 315. And that whirled me into depression. I was like, what did I do? I scored a 150 on the verbal. The verbal was so difficult. Generally I had this idea PowerPrep will be very easy, but the verbal part was so difficult. It dizzied me, and I was questioning all my methods just the day before the GRE. So yeah, that was a tough day, the day before the GRE. So I cooled myself, I read a book, did some stuff to cool myself down, and then just went for the GRE. Okay, so now for the AWA, I have a few tips and tricks or my strategies that I use to get a 4 on AWA. First of all, the analyze and issue part, the analyze and issue task. So it's the basic idea that the topic will be given and you have to write for or against it. So first of all, you make up your mind, do you want to write for it or against it, and then you find 3 reasons. You can write more, but I guess 3 reasons suffices. If you're aiming for 5.5, 6, the high range of scores, then I suggest you find 4 or maybe 5 reasons. But to explain 4 or 5 reasons, I don't think you can do it in 30 minutes. We don't have that level of typing speed. So find out 3 reasons, and then there will be an introduction, the 3 reasons in 3 separate paragraphs, and then a conclusion. So I followed this procedure and it turned out well, I guess. And for the analyze and argument task, you will be given this argument, and basically what you have to do is the same strategy. You have to find 3 reasons, but here we won't call them reasons. You have to find 3 unstated assumptions, basically, like how is the author assuming this, how is the author assuming this, what are the facts or sources on which the author is assuming this. So you have to find out the unstated assumptions and then elaborate them in 3 separate paragraphs, and then the same, one intro and one conclusion, and that makes your analyze and argument task. So I followed this strategy for my AWA and I got a 4 and I'm happy with it. Okay, so now the second part of the video starts and we will be diagnosing my GRE score. So for the people who don't know this, ETS, it provides you a diagnosis tool. That is, after 15 days your scores are released, you get a diagnosis option. So you can go into that option and you can see which questions you actually marked correct, which questions were incorrect, and how much time you spent on each questions and all that stuff. So let's hop into it. Okay, so let me just hop into my ETS account and show you guys. Okay, so this is what your ETS GRE account will look like. I have no upcoming test schedule because I already gave my test. These are test preparation, getting ready for test there, and these are your scores. If you click on view scores and score recipients, you will be able to view your scores and the 4 universities that you sent your scores to, the free universities. These are for regional score reports, and this right here is our match, GRE Diagnostic Service. So I'm gonna click here and this is gonna bring me to here. So I'm gonna click on verbal first. Let's check out the verbal, and right there. So you can see verbal reasoning. Within each category below, questions are displayed in order of difficulty from 1 easy to 5 hard. So ETS divides its questions into 5 classes of difficulty, easy to hard, and this is my whole overview. So you can see the first question or multiple choice. I don't know if it's in the order of first question, last question or not, but I remember I did not get RC questions first. I got text completion questions first. So yeah, maybe they are not in order, but it just gives you the cumulative overview. So you can see the multiple choice select RC. I did it wrong. I spent around 151 and it's wrong, and it was difficulty level 2. Okay, should have been right. So yeah, you can like this, you can check what you did wrong, what you did right, where you lack, what are your weaknesses actually, and if you want to repeat your GRE, you can use these key points and enhance yourself further. So let me just check how many I marked wrong in the complete verbal section, first complete verbal reasoning section. So here's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 and 13 14. Okay, so over in 40 questions I marked 14 wrong, so that's 26 marks, and I got actually 130 plus 26, that is 156 marks. So I got 156 marks. So I did not get a bonus, nor did I get any kind of penalty. If you don't know what bonus and penalty is, so you should see the Greg Matt video. I will be linking it down in the description. He explains very well how ETS actually scores your GRE exams. It's an adaptive exam, right? Like the first section you get something, and the second section that you get in both quants and verbal, it actually depends on how you perform on the first section, and also depending on that you get a kind of a bonus or a penalty. So yeah, just watch the Greg Matt video. He explains it in great detail. So yeah, sentence equivalences, I did 3 right, 1 wrong over here, and in the first section sentence equivalence I did 1 wrong. So yeah, sentence equivalence are actually my strong suit. I did them right, so I'm happy, and I use a GRE strategy of doing the sentence equivalences. Text completions, 1 wrong, okay, in the second section, and 3 wrongs in the first section, okay, right. The text completions in the actual GRE were, I mean, okay, I did not get a word that that was like, you know, unknown to me, uncommon to me. They were all within my word list, so that was not a problem. But I guess I just, you know, interpreted the question wrong or something like that. Did not take into account the shifts and all that stuff. So yeah. And RCs, you know how RCs are. Multiple choice, select one. Strangely, I did multiple choice, select one or more right, and the 2 select ones wrong. I mean, okay. So you can see the amount of time I spent on all the questions, on the RC questions, around 1. But this one I spent 4 minutes and 46 seconds, but I hit it right. So okay, I'll take that. So yeah, make sure to manage your time, because time management is very, very, very important. Otherwise you will be just left scrambling at the end for time. Like you will have like 5-6 questions left and just around 5 minutes or 4 minutes, so that can be a bit stressful. So yeah, always keep a track of time. So yeah, verbal was great, and 156 in verbal, I guess that's enough for me. I was expecting something like that, so enough for me. Now let's go on to the quantitative. So quantitative, as you can see in the first part, it's right, I just did 1 wrong, okay, 2 wrongs. So in the first section I did 2 wrongs. Multiple choice, select one or more, it's wrong. Okay, these kind of questions are a bit tricky, bit hard, because there's more than one right question. So I don't know. And a quantitative comparison, wrong. I actually lack in quantitative comparison type, so practice quantitative comparison, guys. Those are like really tricky kind of questions. Like they are easy, but you need to have that basic essence of QCs. So yeah, in the second section there's a numeric entry, wrong. Okay, there's wrong. The second section of maths, I felt it was hard. It was like really difficult, because I got certain questions from geometry, like those kind of questions, you know, guys, like find the area of the shaded region and all those stuff, all those kind of questions. There's this rectangle and a triangle within that, and a quarter of a circle inscribed within that, and it was like so tough. I remember the question. I spent a lot of time on that question. Here, this one 541. I spent 541 this question and I got it wrong. Okay, I guess this is the question. I got it wrong after all. So yeah, these kind of questions, it was like increasingly tough. I did not expect that level of toughness to be there, that level of difficulty to be there. But what can we do? And there was also that question about Venn diagram. It was a multiple choice question about Venn diagram, like 5 people are in this club, 6 people are in this club, so what will be, like something like that. I just couldn't do it. I spent a lot of time, around 5-6 minutes, but I just left it at the end. So yeah, so that's basically my quants part. And if you count the number of wrongs, I did 1 2 wrongs over here, and then in the second section 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, see, I actually did 7 wrong. So out of 40 I get 33. So 160 plus 130 plus 33 becomes a 163, but I got a 164 on quant. That is, I got a 1 mark bonus. This bonus is because the second section that I got was increasingly tough compared to my first section. It was very hard, so I got 1 marks bonus. So you can see, guys, the GRE scores you like that. Watch the GRE video, you will get to know it. So yeah, this is basically your diagnosis. So you can use this diagnosis if you are not satisfied with your score. You can use this diagnosis to see how much time you spent on a particular question, and you got it right or wrong, and what was the difficulty of it. You might also remember the question, so it might help you to, like, you know, get over your weaknesses and do better in your next attempt. So yeah, that's all about the diagnosis part. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope it helps the people who are preparing for their GRE and will be planning to take their GRE. So these are my strategies, my resources that I used, and also diagnosis of my GRE score. might help some people to get better insight into the whole GRE exam. So yeah, the final tip is just prepare, just be calm, be composed, and just kill it in the exam. So with that being said, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe like a snare, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace out.